Hey everybody, this is Games Plus James and welcome back to our Unity 2D tutorial series where we're taking a look at all the little bits and pieces you need to make your own awesome game full of platforming goodness. So today we're going to take a look at making moving platforms so that you can move your player around the screen without having to press any input if you need to or anything like that. For example, here we've got a big long pit in the middle of this level that I've added in. So what we're going to do is create a way for the player to easily go across there, because as it stands at the moment, if our player walks all the way over there, if the game will start, the player goes walkie walkie walk all the way along, we'll never be able to make that jump. So we need to get some way for our player to get across. I'll actually just move the player a bit closer here as well, so that he will be able to it'll be a bit quicker when we're making stuff. So we need to start off by first making our platform that we're going to use. So we'll create an empty object here. No, we'll create it outside of that. We'll just create it down the bottom here. And we'll call this just platform. And then what we'll do is go to our art folder, get our ground object from the game. We'll just drag that into place here. And we're going to make this a child of platform. We'll use that called ground, that's fine. And we're just going to make sure that that is moved to 0, 0. So it's right at the middle point of the platform. We'll just move that platform down here for a second. And then we will duplicate this by pressing Control and D. And we'll hold Control and move this arrow over that way. And we'll press Control and D again. And we'll hold Control and move the arrow back over here. So now we've got one on either side. But the center one is still at 0, 0. So we know that's the center of the object. So then we know if we hold platform here, we're moving it from the center and not moving it from like the edge or anything like that. And we want to obviously keep this lined up with the ground. So if we hold V to get to lock onto one of the corners, and then click and drag, and it'll snap over to there like that. And then we'll just move it a little bit away so we know it's the platform and not just part of the ground. So there we go, that's our platform. And obviously we're going to need points for the platform to move between. So what we'll actually do is create another object. We're going to call this moving platform, and this is going to contain our platform and also 2 points for us to move between. So we'll drag our platform down into there, and again we want this to be at 0, 0, so we'll just do 0, 0 here just to make sure it's all right. And we'll do the V thing again here, hold V, click the corner, move it into the right place, and then move it over one space like that. And then within moving platform, if we right click here and go create empty, it'll create a point, and we'll call that start point, and we'll duplicate that, call this one end point. Perfect. Oh look, we did something wrong here now. We should make that 0, 0, and we're supposed to move the whole platform down, not just the smaller platform. So there we go. Now we're more appropriately placed, and now the start point is 0 and the end point is at 0. And we'll just move this back over again one, and then we want to move our end point over, so we'll drag it over here to round about there, there I would say. Now we'll be left with one extra block of space. We should. So we want our platform to move between these 2 points. So obviously we're going to have to create a new script to handle moving our platform backwards and forwards. And the script we're going to make is actually going to be a little bit more versatile than just moving between 2 points. We're going to make it a little bit more changeable, so you could actually have as many points as you want in your movement script. Say you wanted your platform to move in like a square shape, we can do that with a script we're going to make as well. So we'll go in here, we'll right click, create a C# script, and we'll call this moving platform. And we'll double click that and open it up in MonoDevelop. And what we're going to use for handling movement between different points are arrays. And we haven't looked at arrays yet, but they're quite simple. Basically what it does is creates a series of the same object, essentially. So it just creates like a kind of a holder for multiple objects, and the length of that can be changed and adjusted as you want to be able to use it. But it's pretty simple and pretty straightforward to use. Once this decides to load up here, There we go. Okay, so what we're going to need to start off with is a public game object platform, because we want to be able to control the platform. We want to give a movement speed as well, so public float move speed, and we want it to be going towards a certain point the whole time, so we're going to use a current point. So we'll do public transform, and we'll call this current point, and then we want to be able to select from a range of points. So what we'll do is public transform, and we put 2 square brackets at the end of transform, and we'll call this points. I'll just close that. And what the 2 square brackets does is it makes it an array object. So if we just save this quickly, and we'll pop back into Unity, and if we click on our movement platform here, once this finishes compiling down the corner, we'll add the component onto movement platform. So we'll add our movement platform script down here. Once it's finished compiling, it should give us some options. Okay, now this is compiled, we can see here we've got our little objects here, and we have points. And points is our array object that we created here, public transform points. And what you can see is if we drop this down, we've got a size of 0. And say for example, we're going to use a size 2. And now what it does is creates an option for a transform, which is what the kind of array that we made, and it just creates an array of them. So we can drag our start point and our end point in there, but if we wanted to, we could have 50 points, and we could have a load of different places for your thing to go, or you could just have 1 point, but we will be using 2. But we won't start assigning that stuff yet, because we want to work out what we're doing with this script first. So to manage which point we've selected within that array, we're going to use just an int. So we'll use public int point selection. Okay, so a point selection will start off being 0, so 0 will be the first place in the array that we're going to go. The way arrays work, let me just have a look here. So we've got 2 objects in this array. I would just go with 5 for the point of explaining easiness. See the way it says element 0, element 1, element 2, element 3, element 4. That's how you access the numbers within the array. So the first point is 0, the second point is 1. It's the basic kind of computer language handling this kind of stuff. So our point selection will start as 0, and although there's 5 objects in the array, we could never have our point being 5 because there's no element 5 here. So it's basically, it's handy, it's easy to remember this. If you look at the element number, it'll help you remember what's the maximum amount you can have in your given array. So we'll go back here into our script. So at the start of our script, what we're going to do is we're going to grab our current point that we're going to be making the platform move towards is going to be equal to points, which is our array. Now inside the curly brackets, we're going to put point selection. And what this does is it goes to the point selection number within the points. So at the start, our point selection is 0. So what it'll do is it'll go to element 0 here, and it'll choose the transform point, and that'll be the point it moves towards. But then as we go on, we'll want our point selection will be 1. So it'll move to element 1, and it'll go towards that point. If that makes sense. Hopefully it does. And we need to make sure we put a semicolon at the end of that sentence as well. Okay, so then in our update, basically what we're going to have the platform doing the whole time is just moving towards our current point. So we will say platform dot transform dot position is equal to vector tree dot move towards. And what move towards does is every frame it moves the platform a slight bit closer towards your goal point. So we will move it from the starting point that it already has, which is platform dot transform dot position, and we'll move it towards our current point. So current point dot position. We don't have to say current point dot transform because current point is already a transform object. So it'll be moving towards current point dot position. And then finally, our third section we'll see where it says max where it says max distance delta there a second ago. This is how fast it moves. So we'll do time dot delta time. Time dot delta time multiplied by our move speed. So then every frame it'll move just the right amount of speed towards the object. So if we just save this, oh look, I didn't spell position properly. Now it should be okay. Okay, we'll save that, we'll pop back in here and we'll line everything up, and it won't cycle through our points yet, but we will show just how it moves between our points. So we will go to our moving platform, waiting for it to compile down here in the corner. We can still fill in a few details while it's going, or maybe we can't because it's slightly frozen, but it's okay, it'll sort itself out in a second. There we go. Okay, so we'll make our move speed 5. Our platform object is this one here, so we'll drag that there. Current point, that we don't need to fill that in. We should actually make that private in the script. We'll do that in a second. We've got our points here. We'll put the end point in first because that's where we want the platform to move towards. We'll put our start point there. It doesn't really matter either way, however way we do this. Point selection 0, so that's all fine. Actually no, we'll put these the right way around and we'll set our point selection to being 1 to start off with. So it'll move towards element 1, which is the end point, and if we click on here we can see our end point is over there. So now if we hit play, the platform should slowly just move across to the proper place. We should see it in our scene view here. There we go. Moves to there and then it stops because it can't move there anymore. So obviously we want it to move back once it gets to the end point. And what we're going to do now is put a little if statement in here. So we have if platform dot transform dot position. So if the position of the platform is equal to the current point that we have selected, current point dot position, there we go. So if that happens, then we want to do a bunch of code. And if, for example, you wanted to make it wait for a second when you got to the platform, in here you could have a little countdown saying, like, you have a float value saying wait for movement or whatever, and you could have it just count down the time if you wanted to. But that's something we're not going to look at adding that in here because it's a little bit, I don't know why you would necessarily want that. But what we're going to do here is, so we have our point selection determining which point in our array is being used. So what we're going to do is point selection plus plus. So what that'll do is it'll make our point selection add 1 onto itself. So we'd normally be starting at 0, it would move on to 1. But for example, in our little script we have here, if we have our point selection as 1, we can see that it's on element 1 then, which is already the last point of our array. And then if we go to 2, then it'll go, oh no, there is no element 2 in our array, and it'll cause an error, which is obviously not what we want. So what we want to do is make a check. And to stop that happening, we're going to go, oh, we need to put a semicolon here. We're going to go if point selection is equal to points dot length. So what points dot length does is it gets the number of elements that are in the array. So in our array here we have 2 points in there. So if points dot length will be 2 in this example here. So then if our point selection is 2, then we know we've gone too far because there's no element 2. So what we need to do is go back to the very first point. So basically once that happens, is what we do is point selection is equal to 0. So that way once it gets to the end of the array, it'll go, whoop, okay, we'll go back to 0. And then after that, once our point selection we know is able to find a proper element in our array, what we'll do is go current point is equal to, just as we did with our start function up here, current point is equal to points, if I could spell it properly, points and point selection. So now we'll save this and we'll go back into Unity, and once that compiles down the bottom here, we should get our platform just moving nicely back and forward, so everything works all nice and fine for us. Once it finishes compiling anyway. Okay, is it done? Stop spinning. Give it a second. There we go. Okay. So now once we start playing, the platform is going to move nicely back and forward. 100%, it's all going to work fine. There we go. Back and forward we go. Moving between our 2 points. You might find that's a little bit too fast. So if you want to just slow it down a little bit. Oh, if we click on the right thing. Let's slow it down to say 2. So there we go. So now we want our player to be able to jump on our platform. So if we'll go ahead and just jump him on there. Oh, well, I didn't put any collider on, so we need to make a collider on our platform. So we'll just add a component of box collider 2D. And we can see that's only gone around one of the small boxes. So we want to set the size of this to 3 to cover the 3 boxes. And now we hit play again. Go back in here. And if our player jumps on the platform, although it's moving a bit fast away. Whoop, too slow. Oh, and I'm gone all the way back here. Hold on, I'm just going to slow this platform down. It's moving a little bit too fast for our purposes. So that we just play again. And so we land on our platform, but we can see our player, he's still in his walking state or in his jumping state is one problem, but he's not moving with the platform. He's just staying there still, which is obviously completely not what we want. So we want to make sure that when the player is on the platform, he stays in position with the platform. And there's a very, very simple way to do that. First of all, we want to do a little fix for why the player still thinks he's jumping, is because what he's doing is he's always looking for the ground, and our platform isn't the ground at the moment. So what we're going to do is, I don't know why that has been made a layer of player, but we will make it a layer ground. And we'll change the children because I don't really. Oh, because when we first created it, it went underneath the player. That was what happened there. Okay, so we'll make that a ground object. That'll be fine. It'll still move side to side. But we want to give this a special tag for how we're going to make this player stay on the platform. So if we go to our tag here, we're going to add a new tag. And we'll just go plus there. And we'll call this moving platform. And what we're going to do is go to our player, and we're going to open our player controller script. So if we double click on that, it'll open it up in MonoDevelop for us. And it's actually a very straightforward way to handle these moving platforms. There's other different ways you can handle it. You can use, if you put a rigid body on the platform, you could use that to control how fast it's moving side to side. But a very simple and straightforward way that I've encountered is to make the platform a parent of the player, so that the player, whenever the platform is moving, then the player is automatically just through Unity systems is moving with the platform. So what we'll do is, below all the other bits of code we have, what we're going to put in down here is void on collision enter 2D. So much like we've done before with on trigger enter 2D, which is when the player enters a trigger zone, on collision enter 2D just detects when two colliders on two different objects hit off each other. So on collision enter 2D, collision 2D other, and we'll put our little curly brackets in. And what we want to do in here is make sure that we're only when we're colliding with the moving platform. Sorry, if other dot transform dot tag, because we're going to use the tag that we just applied to the moving platform. So if other dot transform dot tag is equal to moving platform, which is the one we just set up, close that bracket, and then another couple of curly brackets, and then what we'll do is transform dot parent. So what that does is say, okay, the parent of the player is now other dot transform. So that'll make the other object be a parent of the. It'll make the platform be a parent of the player. So what we should see in our hierarchy here is the player disappears from up here, and it'll suddenly be in this little section here. So once it's all compiled, we'll play the game again. Once it's finished going, it's almost there. So here we go. Maybe, yes, no, maybe. My compiling always runs that a little bit slower whenever I'm recording videos, unfortunately. So okay, so we'll hit play here. And now if we can jump on our platform in time. I already slowed it down though, didn't I? Yeah, it should be plenty of speed. Oh, maybe not. It's running very slow for some reason. I think it's just my computer. But, okay, that's not doing a proper detection. Oh, did we actually add that tag to the thing? No, we created a tag, but we never added it to the platform. I'm just going to make this move a bit faster, because if we miss it the first part, we want it to come back relatively quick. Okay. Come on, platform. Get a move on. Suppose I could just move the player automatically, but let's jump over here. So there we go. Now we can see we're moving along nicely with our platform. It's all going along perfectly well, but the only problem now is, so we've landed on our platform, but once we get off, if we do this, the player's still moving along with the platform. I'm not pressing any input buttons here, he's just still moving in relation to the platform. So we want to make sure when we leave our platform that the player is no longer a child of the platform here. So if we go here, so just as we've done on collision enter 2D, we'll just copy this whole little section and just paste it in below. Instead of on collision enter, we're going to say on collision exit for when the player is no longer colliding with the object. And then instead of saying transform.parent is equal to other, we'll say transform.parent is equal to null. So what that'll say is, okay, there's no parent for this object, so it'll move it back into its own place in the hierarchy. And I don't think you can see the player as a subset of this platform because I still had a collapse at the time, but you should see it this time now once we get onto it. Actually, I'll move the player directly onto the platform to start off with. So he'll start off there. And we should see him become a child of this platform, and then once we jump off, he'll stop being a child again. So I'm not sure if he'll jump back up here or he might just appear down below, but he won't be as a part of this platform anymore. So here we go. Once this is done, we hit play here, and now there we go. Our player is moving along nicely with our platform again. We jump off, and now he's no longer, oh well, he's getting killed, but that's not helpful for anybody. Is there a checkpoint that's been left in the air there? That's no good. We'll just move this checkpoint over here out of the way. But yes, you can see our moving platform, our player was no longer stuck on the moving platform after he had left it. He's free to move about the world as he please, and everything is all back to the exact way we want it. So there we go. That's the basics of how to add a very simple moving platform to your game and make sure your player stays on it. Thanks for watching. I will return with more tutorial goodness in the very near future. Hopefully I'll get to see some of you guys' awesome games that you have been creating based off this series in the near future too. So thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon. Thanks for watching this episode, and if you'd like to see just how some of the concepts we've covered can be brought together into a fully fledged game, then head to portalnauts.com and check out the demo for my game that I've been working on for the last while. It uses a lot of the concepts we've covered so far in the series, as well as other things that we're going to cover in the future. So if you want to get a feel for where we're going and what kind of things you can make with these with the basics of Unity, head over there, try out the game for yourself, and let me know what you think of it, of course. And the best place to let me know is to head to Twitter @GamesPlusJames. Say hi, I'm always there, ready to say hello and do stupid things. But also, if you'd like to see some of the game being worked on and developed in real time, head to twitch.tv/GamesPlusJames, where I regularly stream development of the game, and you can get to see behind the scenes of how things all work. So, head there, say hello, and I'll see you all in the near future.